Hi, you guys. It's
Hello.
Leanne and Stephanie from the Healing Studio. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. This is our August check in. Uh, it's going to be kind of crunchy time still. That's what we keep saying, is what we keep hearing. It's that kind of transition periods, which are always a little bit extra. Yeah, as I reach to adjust my little apophyllite. Give us some answers. I know, Stephanie, you've been working a lot with the Akashic record keepers lately. Any news
Yeah,
from that front?
yeah. So I actually went in this morning, and what they want us to be cognizant of is fear. So when we hear these messages of a crunchy month, it's activating a lot of fear in people because we've had crunchy months that have been, really trying. And so the message I got this morning is think of it as like when you become a teenager. Right. So my daughter, when she was 12, she started crying one day. She's like, I don't want to be a teenager, mom, because they're mean and messy. So, we have that fear. Like, I don't want to go through this. But, when we go through the teenage phase, it's kind of messy. But when we come out the other side, we are more mature and we're better and we're stronger. And so that's kind of like this time period as like the teenagerness of humanity. Like, we're going to come out a better version of ourselves, and things are going to be a lot lighter on the other side. So, and in the meantime, it's not terrible being a teenager. It's kind of messy, but it's also kind of fun and exciting. So just rolling with just see the possibilities instead of, being afraid of what it's going to be like.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm noticing there's a lot of relationship shakeups right now. A lot of people reviewing, who they're turning to for support. Some people, their intimate relationships are being reviewed. A lot of just kind of healing from that kind of controlling energies that we used to be kind of governed under, authority and patriarchy and all those kinds of themes of someone has power over you, and we're just kind of
Mhm.
trying to recalibrate that, because as we're moving into this next phase, we're actually moving into a more cooperative energy. So that means that our relationships kind of need to get more cooperative.
Yeah. And with that, another theme that's coming up in not only my own stuff, like cards I pull for myself, but also almost all the cards I pull for everybody, a big theme is identity and,
Mhm.
kind of facing what parts of yourself you release because of trauma, and calling those parts of yourself back to yourself, like removing the masks that you put on to be the good child, the good parent, the good student, the good whatever, and removing those masks and calling back the authentic parts of yourself. And that seems to be a really big theme, not only for July but for this whole upcoming 6-month period.
Yeah, and I think that there's
Or
some
August. We're in August now.
I think there's a lot of opportunities too to rework the way we talk to each other. Um, you know, I think there's, the guides have always been talking to me about being assertive versus being defensive or passive. But I think that's more important now than ever, that being able to be kind and clear, but, also be, you know,
Yeah.
uh,
So
assertive.
an image that's popping into my head right now, that I don't know how many of you have seen it, but with the Olympics. So the Brazilian gymnast won gold, and she won, like, it's the most number of gold medals that any Olympian has ever gotten from Brazil. So when the other two American gymnasts won silver and bronze, when they got up on the podium, they bowed to her. So they faced her and bowed to her. So instead of being competitive, they were honoring her. And I think that's just a beautiful symbol of how we can treat each other better. Instead of being competitive, we can honor each other's like accomplishments and growth.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think, the other thing I'm seeing is a lot of not necessarily wanting to take accountability for our actions, like wanting to blame somebody else for what we're experiencing, and and like, yet the guides are kind of like calling us back to ourselves to be like, how are you acting? Did not just how
Yeah.
is somebody else behaving. So, and that, self-reflection is always a good thing, but it's just kind of sometimes when we're in the middle of trying to sort our identity out, sort our cooperation out, we're like trying to make judgments, and sometimes judgments feel like criticism or feel like, shame or blame. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that way, but that's just kind of like the old functioning. And
Yeah,
so,
it's kind of like the words that are coming to my mind are we spend a lot of time, especially like in those teenage years. I am not that. I am not like my parents. I am not like these other people. I am not. And so getting rid of like that identity based on who you're not, comparing yourself to other people in your life, and bringing your identity back to who you are.
right, right. Which we're always kind of unpacking. I don't know about you, but I'm I'm a few decades into this whole human experience. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Right? Same here.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
I know that there is, and you brought up that the Akashic Record keepers are talking about fear. I know there is a lot of fear around um, economics and world situations right now.
Well, they called me out on that this morning.
Oh, did they? What'd they say?
Oh, just that I'm still holding on to worry and fear about the way things are going economically, and that just to remember, I know how to do the abundance thing.
Right, right. Well, and it is interesting how, I mean, we could be teachers of this stuff. We know it very well. We've seen it over and over be really mysterious and cool, and yet, I think that's actually another thing that I'm noticing too. Is it's a theme of people saying, um, you're doing it wrong, and the people who have been doing like the law of attraction or the energy work or whatever, who've been really confident in themselves about that, are having a little moment of like, am I doing it wrong? And that's self-doubt.
Yeah, and it's funny because I am seeing it's really fascinating. Light workers pitting themselves against each other just in
Mm,
videos, not calling out specific people, but like, this is not the way to be a worker. You can't just be all love and light and peace. You have to be, you have to embrace the darkness, and you have to look at your shadows. And there's just a lot of calling out like the right way to be spiritual and the right way to, you know, be a
I
healer.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that so funny? And, we always know as healers that the risks of getting like kind of an ego maniac behavior, kind of, thinking you're better than everyone else because you figured out the universe. Or like even that guru energy where people put you on a pedestal. And so therefore, you start to think, oh, I am more special than everyone else. Right. But I mean, it's a risk as being a healer, and it's good to keep it in check. And I agree with you, like calling out, I've seen that too. And like it's like I don't know why we have to do that. I don't know why we have to say that's bad. Why, if we're really focused on the law of attraction, we focus on what we want, what we want, what we
Right.
want, what we want, more of what we want. And
Right.
and yeah, the contrast of what we don't want is great, but we don't have to give a lot of energy to that. Um,
Right. Well, and a lot of times the contrast of what we don't want shows us what we want.
right.
So it's a good healer. It's a good teacher.
Right. I mean, like Esther Hicks talks about the vortex. It's like our bank account, right? Like when we have what we don't want into our bank account, our savings account goes what we do want. And when we're ready to be in alignment with it, it comes. Yeah, that calling thing out, there's definitely some interesting shifts that are going on. In that world too. And the guides told me that we kind of live on that fringe of the bell curve a lot of times with our awareness and our consciousness, and the middle of that bell curve kind of stays stable, and it's not stable. So that's kind of like the mainstream stuff is very shook like a snow globe right now. And so it's like, where we're used to being kind of out there, at the people who are used to more stable realities are like, you know, what's happening. So that can create
Yeah.
more fear too.
True. And yeah, one of the messages I got from the Akashic Records a few days ago was for us who are, like you said, who are used to that, to be the stability. Like, we know how to be the stable tree in the wind. Like, we know how to be the calm in the storm because we're used to it. So, and everybody else isn't, like you said. So for us to model, like, when we're calm, then it helps calm the people around us. So we stay grounded, we stay hydrated, we eat really well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I will say, just for those of you who are feeling this, we're not all saying that we feel fabulous right now because we're not. None of us, a lot of us energy healers are super sensitive to all the shakeups, and we're feeling it. I mean, I was on vacation last week and was feeling like, oh my gosh, what is going on with me and my health and my, just because I stopped and then all of a sudden didn't feel super fabulous, started checking in with my friends.
I felt like I got
feeling good too.
Yeah, I felt like I got hit by a truck. I was like, what is this?
Yeah. And I keep thinking, like yesterday I wasn't feeling great because I came back from vacation and just hit the ground running on Sunday working, full day. And I thought, well, maybe I didn't clear myself out from work very well because the next day I didn't feel very good. But so I had a conversation with the guides last night about it. And they were like, well, there's just kind of this unstable energy in the astral. So even when I'm going to sleep, and maybe this is happening to you too, I don't know, but when I'm going to sleep, I'm destabilized even in my sleep. So therefore I wake up kind of like I have to put myself back together even from sleep time. So,
Yeah.
so I think really good energetic hygiene is required right now.
Right. Lots of clearing out and grounding and bringing back in. And I'm just going to put this out as a reminder because I remind everybody all the time. When you clear out, make sure to bring it back in.
Right.
Clear yourself out really well and then fill back in with gold energy, gold light, whatever feels supportive to you. Earth is a good thing to fill back in with.
Yeah, I mean it's true to fill it back in because if you don't, something else will just
Right.
I'm in there. And as our healthy auric field is arm's length around us in all directions. So behind you, above your head, below your feet, the left, the right, all of that space can be taken up by your consciousness. Even if you're sharing space with somebody else that close, like if you're riding on a bus or something, you can. There's definitely those concentric circle overlaps energetically, but you are possessing all of that consciousness space, and that helps you really kind of sort through the data that's all around you that you're always picking up on. When your energy's sucked in, which we often do when we're like scared or nervous or not feeling good, it just kind of hits you faster and you can't necessarily sort through what's going on. So that healthy filled in auric field absolutely helps you feel more solid.
Yeah, and that's where I'm talking about when we take care of ourselves, that people just feel better around us. Because when we have that, when you come up to somebody who's just really calm and in their own energy, then you just kind of feel better because you don't feel threatened around them. So suddenly your own energy kind of goes, oh, that feels better as a way to be. So
Right. And we are more sensitive than anybody likes to admit. As I mean, not obviously Steffi and I work in the field of sensitivity, but you are just as sensitive. And your energy field is constantly sorting through data, just like ours is, and learning to just kind of be calm about that actually really helps everything, be what it needs to be as far as nourishing your energies. So,
absolutely.
anything else you want to add about how August is going to go?
No, I don't think so. Just go with the flow. That's a big message that keeps coming up, is just go with the flow. Just trust.
Yep. And the image of floating down a river with nice banks, right? So your emotional energy is flowing. It's not boggy or stagnant. That also kind of helps too. So go with the flow also means you're allowing all of the emotions, everything that's there. It's okay.
And I only went whitewater rafting once, but one of the things I learned was you have to go with the river. You can't fight it, because as soon as you fight it, so even though we might be going through some rapids here this month, just go with it. Enjoy it.
You have all the tools you need.
And guides. Let
Right.
help you.
All right, you guys. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. Well, thanks for watching later. I hope that this is useful to you guys. We always are open to questions. You can put them in the comments. We will respond after the fact. And go be amazing.
Bye.